maybe a 2. Wasn't quite enough to activate our full EOC, but our crews were out within 20 minutes of the actual event. As soon as the hail was gone, our crews were already mobilizing. And that's a lot of just the experience of our staff knowing what those types of storms produce and some of the issues that have to be addressed right away.
So do you initiate that as the head of the...
Our crews actually, our public works crews initiated a bunch of the work prior to me having to notify them, but yes, that was my fault. Yeah.
Thank you. Infrastructure Services, Len Thompson, Phase 2, CEO Macquarie.
Thank you, Mayor Christie. Before Council this evening is a report in terms of the tender results for this particular area. So the tender did close in May of this year. The tender was divided into grading and underground and roads. At the end of the day, there was one tender that was, or one submission that was disqualified. Another had made a math error. At the end of the day, the lowest bid came in at $2,482,458. When you take into account engineering, geotechnical, quality assurance, and the removal of the ATCO pipeline, the total cost for this project came in at $3,140,000. I think it's important to note that during the design process, it was determined that there was more unsuitable material than we originally anticipated, and that had to be removed, and of course not suitable for development. In terms of the costing around the project, I'll just speak to that a little bit. In December of 2012, there was an opinion of probable cost that came in at $2,729,918. The cost variance from that to the actual tendered cost is $410,083. The borrowing bylaw that was adopted by Council, the amount identified was $2,479,000, and the cost variance from that is $661,000. Because the variance in the borrowing bylaw exceeds 15%, then that borrowing bylaw would have to be re-advertised. The recommendation before Council this evening is that we look at re-tendering the project because of the amount that we are over budget, and that if possible we re-tender with a reduced scope of work. So should we re-tender the project, certainly there may be an opportunity for lower prices as contractors prepare for their 2014 work plan. If this is re-tendered early enough, then it can certainly be inserted into their plan, and that may reduce costs for us. We now know what we're dealing with in the way of the buildings on site and any hazardous material like asbestos. So knowing that will be helpful in terms of transferring that information to bidders. And then finally, the ATCO pipeline will be removed by ATCO Pipelines in August, and that takes away all the coordination effort required on site for the removal of that during construction. There will be certainly a cost to re-tender and look at a reduced scope, or to develop a reduced scope, and that is in the neighborhood of $15,000. The recommendation before you is that you support administration in terms of rejecting all bid submissions that were received, and that the project be re-tendered with a possible reduction in scope in the fall of this year. And the reduction in scope, I'll just comment, would be due to the possible successful negotiation of land sales and the reduced requirement for a full road should the subdivision plan change in that respect.
Thank you. Council. Questions, discussions? Councillor Connick.
Thank you, Mayor Christie. How does this delay impact future land sales? Has there been some interest?
To Councillor Connick, there has been some interest. There's certainly it's not imminent in terms of making sure that we have service lots in the coming months. So this would delay servicing until the spring of 2014, but I don't think that's going to have a severe or detrimental effect or impact on this site.
Councillor Boswell and Councillor Creasy.
Thanks, Mayor Christie. Quick question regarding the overall cost. Is that to bring the roadway up to a certain standard that we would accept for that particular subdivision? And then would that be with pavement, or is it strictly millings or gravel?
Councillor Bosma, that was to a gravel standard.
So what would happen at some point if we chose to pave it? I guess that would be a local improvement then.
Yes, to Councillor Bosma, depending upon the stage of development and who held title or ownership to the adjacent parcels, but they would be responsible for bringing it up to that paved standard.
Was it the original intention to have it at a gravel standard when the probable cost was calculated?
No, it was not.
So we're way off.
Certainly there were a number of quotes received from our consulting engineer in terms of opinion of probable cost, and they did change considerably, yes.
Councillor Creasy?
That was actually one of my questions too, was the whole road system. I mean, you're right, Peter, we're totally out to lunch here on the cost of it. I'm just curious how come it's 10 weeks after the bids are secured? We were led to believe that the project was going to start in April, I thought. And the bids weren't even open until 10 weeks ago, until May, the middle of May.
To Councillor Creasy, certainly we were not able to complete the detailed design and close the tendering until May. So that schedule was in place. Insofar as bringing the information back to council, I undertook considerable consultation with staff in terms of how we would proceed. And then of course I was away for personal reasons, and that did delay this project as well.
All right. Looking for a motion here to reject the bid submissions. Is that correct? Councillor Boswell.
I would like to make a motion that council reject all bid submissions and re-tender the Len Thompson Industrial Park development in the fall of 2013 for construction in early 2014 with or without the reduced scope of work proposed by administration in this memorandum.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? So carried. Thank you. All right. Reports. I think they're there for you. Mine isn't. And who cares what I've been doing? But I care what the community's been doing, and I just wanted to mention that I think the weekend, I think Lacombe Days was a huge success due to a whole lot of hard work by a lot of volunteers. It brought a lot of people to town. It did some great things. And on the back of that, we had that storm on Saturday night that I think brought a lot of people together that did a lot of hard work volunteering for one another, and it was incredible to see our crews. I just want to say thank you to Brian and to Brett and to the girls on the back truck that were out. I think the last time I saw them was about 1:30 or something. I saw the girls and talked to Brett and Brian later on. I pulled weeds out of the leaves out of storm drains till 4 in the morning, and up again helping up in English Estates, and I know Ian was out helping neighbors, but just what I saw with regards to the cleanup, with people just moving from yard to yard and helping neighbors and introducing themselves. They didn't even know people coming from across town to help out. I think was incredible, and we threw some of our resources at it as well. Denny Beach came with 2 loaders and an end dump, and all the way along that large lumber out to the solid waste site at Prentice. And And I think it was a great effort by everybody, and I know in English Estates they ended up having a kind of a block party at the end of it and got to know each other even that much better. It's too bad it takes that to get people out to meet one another, but it did, and just to see that and be a part of that was a huge success, I think, and a feather in Lacombe's cap. So I just wanted to send a big thank you out to everybody. And as I was going around, there was people in their own neighborhoods pulling those leaves out of the storm drain, so people were getting it there. They're playing a role and doing a huge service to our city. So thank you to all that worked hard and did their part of that during that event. I think our reports are there. Is there any questions? Anything that anybody wants to discuss in anybody's report? Ruben, yours isn't there. Anything you want to report on?
Just real brief. Of course, I was on holidays for the last 2 weeks, so I had a library board meeting at the end of June the 25th, and then the Canada Day flag raising ceremony on July 1st.
Councillor Kite?
I have a question just about this after effects of the storm. Because when I was walking yesterday on Ebony Street towards College Avenue, there's that one whole section just a block before you get to College Avenue that was completely covered in mud. That's where the manholes or the water.
Yep.
How do we deal with that? Because I'm thinking like there was tons of gravel and everything else that went down into those systems.
So that's related to the current development in the area, and the developer is responsible for that. So the cost of cleanup and remediation will be borne by the developer as part of that. Okay. And just kudos to administration and our system, our stormwater upgrades worked to a T. There was some localized ponding on streets because of the initial hail and heavy winds knocked down leaves and small branches, which plugged off the storm drains and caused some backup in our streets. But once we got pulling that stuff out of there, it disappeared in minutes. So the system took everything without even a blink. So it was great to see, and had lots of comments actually yesterday with regards to being money well spent and that it worked. So that was great to see. Wayne, anything you want to add? You didn't have anything in there as well?
No, I'll email my report out. Everyone.
Thank you.
I may add one thing.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, Norma.
Thank you, Mayor Christie. I just wanted to mention that this is Doreen Simon's last meeting, and I want to acknowledge and recognize and thank her for all of her hard work and wish her the very best in the future.
You still going? I told Doreen I was going to ask her every day from here on in if she was still going to leave us. But Doreen, thank you. You've done the city some great things, and we've heard nothing but good things from citizens who you have dealt with as well. And you're truly going to be missed. Thank you so much for all that you've done for us. Motion to accept reports as information. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Motion to move in camera. Thank you. Motion to come out of camera. Whoever's going to do that.
Whatever you like.
Yeah. Ruben, thanks for that. And we will begin the times.
Enjoy the rest of your evening, Lisa.
Thanks for sticking around, Lisa.
We're gonna break a record today.
Yeah.
This is making a really good record now.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need to phone again this week.
Pardon? If you don't mind. Or 9.
maybe you can just close the door between when you.
Thanks, Darlene.
Is this thing still running?
And good job for reading that letter into the record.
Are we off, Ruby?